Recently, Analogue posted this little tweet, more than a date, October 16th, 8 a.m. PST. That date has come, that time has gone. We're here today to talk about this announcement. As Analogue's a company who does like to announce announcements type of thing, they are guilty of that. But when they first put this up less than a week ago, there was a lot of speculation because sometimes you could read into things, right? Even with this black square and the font that they use, people had ideas. Oh, I think it's going to be this. I'm pretty sure it's going to be that. And everybody who made a guess on this tweet was wrong. They were dead wrong. One of them I saw that I thought was kind of funny was like, oh, the font, it's going to be a VCR, an FPGA VCR. While that idea might be cool to some people, I look at things realistically. For the most part, you can argue that all you want. But I think VHS tapes haven't made a comeback. I mean, that's a fact. That's not a thought. VHS tapes haven't made a comeback, not like vinyl. So would there be a market? It'd be a very niche market for an FPGA VCR. Would that really make any sense? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who are like, hell yeah, it's more than niche. I watch my Back to the Future 1, 2, and 3 on VHS every weekend. What? It's fine. I mean, I have VHS tapes. I get it, but I just think it's too limited on the appeal. Like, who'd really buy it? Not too many people would. There's not as many people, I think, are into VHS tapes versus retro games, right? So like I said, everybody was wrong, but this does have to do with the Pocket, but it also has to do with future products as well. So if you weren't aware, the Pocket was delayed to December of this year. It was supposed to come out in October. They've held on to our money for over a year now. Due to all the bullshit going on in the world, it just couldn't happen. Okay, I'm over it. I'm fine. I'm not going to knock Analogue for this if, supposedly out of their control. Okay, I could speculate all sorts of things. Hey, maybe it wasn't ready, or maybe, yeah, this is true. I don't care. The one thing I give credit to Analogue, where credit is due, is they've always shipped their products. They're not a company that announces something and then you don't know if it's ever going to be sent to you if you paid for it. It's a thing where it's just like, it's when, not if. So waiting on that. But they did state that they were going to have some hands-on stuff with features and reviews to showcase before it ships, and after the holiday season, that they're going to have the Pocket and all the accessories restocked, ready to ship and be ordered immediately. So stay tuned for that. They understand how frustrating it is. Very frustrating, right? So on to the actual news, and I find this interesting. They announced their Analogue operating system. This is specifically for the Pocket at this time, but it is for future devices as well. Makes me wonder if they're going to reissue certain systems or if this is something they can just do in a firmware update, because there's a lot of cool ideas here. I don't know how much of them will actually be utilized by a lot of people, because after I looked at this, I was like, I just want to play my games, man. But there's so many people with FPGA implementations who want things, who've been desiring things to be a bit more flashy, right? But with Analogue, with their systems, it's always a thing where, hey, we don't support copyrighted ROMs. We support you putting in the cartridges and playing it. And if that's the thought and idea behind Analogue, even though that's not true, because every time their systems come out, like immediately there's a jailbreak, you could sideload ROMs. And specifically with this device, they have an additional FPGA for developers to port cores over to and to do whatever they want. Of course, we're going to be able to load ROMs on this thing, but the main idea is physical media. You know what I mean? That's like, if you buy this device, it's kind of what you want it for, but some people buy it to just have their own system to play games on, either through a flash card, which flash cards always work, or sideloading ROMs. I always think if you're just going to sideload ROMs and you don't actually have any kind of collection, maybe other options would be more suited to you, but these systems typically do offer quite a bit as far as visual and audio options that may entice more people who don't care about physical media. So with that, I just have a curiosity. Let's take a look here. So booting soon to the Pocket, just talking about how something big. And the operating system's built for exploring and celebrating all of video game history, designed to be the definitive scholarly operating system for playing and experiencing it. So let's take a look at this, right? So they talk about how there's going to be save states, playlists, all sorts of things, man. And giving it the respect that it deserves. Save states is a big one. Able to have save states with all your cartridges, however you're playing through an FPGA system is definitely a cool thing. I hope it's implemented well enough, because sometimes with save states that are not software emulation based. Like you could run into issues like music not loading, certain little quirks that happen. I hope the implementation here they have a different way of going about it or something. Sure, we'll see bugs in the beginning, but that is cool to see that we're going to have save and load states. But that's just kind of the base of it. Now, when I first saw this, their library, it's like a database. And when I looked at it, I was like, this seems like a solution to like what the Polymega is doing. No, the Polymega is a whole other system. It's software based. But the Polymega is one of their big things is that it has a database included, has a whole library you could look through. Look at the different developers, games, recommendations, playlists, all that kind of stuff. And that's what Analogue's doing here with the Pocket, with this new Analogue OS, is they have a database of games that tells you the system, the developer, the publisher, even revision types and whatnot, and searchable. I think that's cool, but how useful is that really going to be for a system like this that if it doesn't work with games that are just ROM dumped to it, like ROMs just thrown on it, I don't really see the usefulness of this for me. As you see on that screen, play the game. Now, if you click play the game, it's going to prompt you to put the fucking game in there because the system's meant to play cartridges, right? Now, you could look through all this stuff, the playlist, search for games, all this stuff. And the one thing I have to point out, make it visual, add your own box art. This playlist, none of these box arts or screen captures are included in the database. You have to add them yourself. Will somebody come up with a database of all the images to add to your Pocket? Probably. But it doesn't ship with any of the box arts or game assets shown. So keep that in mind. But back to what I was talking about. If you're going through, like, looking at all this stuff, like, oh, Tetris DX in my playlist, Sonic, this, and that. Let me play this. Click it, and then you're going to get prompted, boom, insert the cartridge. What the fuck was the point of looking at the database? What was the point of looking at the playlist if you can't just load it from there? Because I could just go to where I have my games and be like, Tetris DX, DuckTales. Oh, I'll pick that one and play and pop it in and sidestep this whole process, right? Will this be handy for some people? Sure. Will it be handy for everyone? Probably not. If it works with ROMs, yes. Will it work with EverDrives in the sense that you could select it and then load game through the EverDrive? Probably not. Like, you're going to have to put the EverDrive in and then just select your game because it shouldn't recognize the cartridge as that game until that game is selected through an EverDrive menu. So that's where I'm a little weirded with this. I'm not sure. How is that going to work? If it doesn't work with ROMs, then what's the usefulness, really? Creating playlists and whatnot can be neat, but it is what it is. I mean, to manage your save states and whatnot, that's cool. Memory save states and screenshots. This is interesting, though, because you could save and capture screenshots. That is dope. I give them that. Your save states and loading them, cool. I'm glad to see stuff like that. Do that live while playing your games. Then they have this like memories thing where you can go through like a calendar of time and look at all the games you played on specific days and dates and times and the playlists. If you use Nanoloop to make music, that kind of thing. I mean, cool, I guess. I mean, okay, fine. Will I use that? Probably not. Maybe the one thing, like, if you had this, like, I guess, like, down the road, if it was like, fuck, what did I play last? Like, I remember playing a game last year in October. What the hell was that game I played? That could be useful. Go back on your Pocket, scroll back to October of, 2021. It's not going to be out by this time, but you know what I'm saying. And look, oh yeah, that was the game. Reference material stuff, going back, that could be useful, right? So they're showing with the operating system that it works on, handheld. The operating system essentially displays properly for whatever display option you're using. Handheld, it displays properly. CRT, PVM, it's going to display properly. LCD, OLED, it's going to format itself to display properly. And I do like that. I like the way that looks. Area of Sorrow with all that stuff going on there. Harmony of Dissonance, you got all your Castlevanias there. But you got to add that stuff. Like, they're not shipping it with that. So There you go. Another cool thing they have is the button mapping. They do talk about, like, boom, that their operating system is designed to connect seamlessly to virtually every 8-bit though Bluetooth and 2.4 gigahertz and next-gen controller, wired and wireless, with button mapping by controller, by system. That is a good thing. Like, setting it up per system remaps, I like that. That should just be across the board for every device, emulation software or not. Button wrapping, then buttons be wrapping. Button mapping is just like a no-brainer feature, should have. They talk about the display options, how the Pocket features original display modes that recreate stunning accuracy, sub-pixel level, identical look and feel of an original DMG display, Game Boy Color display, Game Gear display, and more. So just stuff that we've already looked at. Dark and light modes, and so much more. So much more. Rotate your screen, play your creations in Nano Loop, a Game Boy Studio, quick and easy use drag and drop retro game creator. Oh yeah, they talked about that before. Creating games, creating Game Boy games. You're going to be able to do that. A lot of cool features, a lot of things that I think are just like going to be underutilized in my opinion, but that's my opinion. Now here's the almost like a, not really an FAQ, but just more information. Library, this is the one thing. All the shit that we just talked about, you ain't going to have it right away. Library memories tracking will not be available on Analogue OS 1.0. These features will be available on Analogue OS 1.1 and beyond. So when the Pocket comes out, is it going to have all that right away? Or are they just saying like, hey, right now it's 1.0, so just in case 1.1 is not ready for launch, just realize you're not going to have that stuff. Okay. Analogue OS is currently in development and the features are subject to change. The library, the database stuff, initially launching with the Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, Game Boy, and Game Gear. Neo Geo Pocket Color, TurboGrafx, and Lynx will be released as far as database stuff goes and an update or whatever when the adapters are released. Not all future Analogue products with the OS will feature FPGA development capabilities. So they're just letting you know, like, yeah, you got development stuff going on here, but not all systems in the future will support that. Library does not include artwork natively. User artwork must be supplied. SD cards required. Okay, here's that one thing I kept talking about, or I've mentioned a few times. Analogue Pocket does not play copyrighted ROM files. It plays legacy game cartridges. Boo! No, it'll play everything. Don't worry about that. But my curiosity is, will this be able to, like, loading ROMs and stuff like that, and EverDrives, is it going to be possible to have that commingle with the way the library works? My brain tells me it's not going to work that way, but I'm hoping it can. We'll have to wait and see. Analogue does not operate utilizing any BIOS files from anybody else, like official ones that they design everything themselves. So there you go. Let me know what you think down below. Interesting stuff that I think won't be utilized by a lot of people, but it's nice to see that they're expanding and growing with the operating system, with the way things work. Will be appreciated by some. Like I said, some people may not see the complete value in it. Guess we'll have a better idea once this is actually released. And, you know, over time, the operating system will be expanded upon. So there you go. No new systems, no pre-orders. Just, hey, here's the operating system. They're kind of delivering a little bit on talking about features for the Pocket ahead of time. So appreciate you guys. Give you guys a big-ass thumb up. Blow you like a Bigfoot. Catch you on the next one. Let me know what you think down below. Bye.